Another idea gaining traction in politics is the idea of a so-called Trump purge of any and all Trump supporters in government and politics, presuming an incoming Biden administration in January. Here with more on that is Jarrett Stepman of the Heritage Foundation. Welcome, Jarrett.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jarrett, you wrote about the so-called Trump purge. Tell us what you're seeing and hearing about that.
Yeah, this is something that obviously it's been going around social media quite a bit, but it's something that's been promoted, especially by many left-wing politicians, Democratic staffers, is the so-called Trump Accountability Project, which essentially makes a list of people who not only work for the Trump administration, but anybody associated with the Trump administration. We're talking donors, we're talking contractors, to essentially no longer telling people to no longer do business with them, to no longer have any association with them. I think we've seen a number of calls from a number of activists and politicians to essentially purge those who friendly to the Trump administration, no longer dealing with them in civil society. This despite the fact that Vice President Joe Biden has called for unity following this election.
Jarrett, how do you reconcile the disconnect if Joe Biden is calling for unity, but you have others who are saying, hey, let's purge these so-called Trump supporters? How do you reconcile that in a democracy where you have a full-fledged debate of competing ideas?
Yeah, that is a deep problem. I think it flies in the face of Thomas Jefferson's first inaugural when he said we're all Republicans, we're all Federalists, referring to the parties at the time, saying that we're really all Americans here, that those who believe in the Republic is something idea that's accepted across the board. I think you have this growing belief that simply if you disagree with people politically, they must be eliminated and liquidated. They must be removed from society, never to be seen again. And I think you see that growing, especially on the hard left that does have such power in America's most potent political and cultural institutions in this country. I think that's really where a lot of this is coming from. Biden has the problem that while he ran on sort of being more moderate than the general Democratic base, that base is very angry. It demands purges. It demands retribution. He's going to have a lot of trouble balancing his message with what is the common sentiment with a lot of his allies, with a lot of the people who ultimately supported him.
Jarrett, and how is this harmful to society?
It's deeply harmful. It's this idea that it's really us versus them. We're a nation of enemies, not fellow Americans. And I think that is becoming certainly over the last few decades, there's all this talk of increasing partisanship and ideological separation, but this is really happening, and it's happening at the same time. Right. We have this prevailing cancel culture where people are simply canceled because of something they said. And I think it's very worrying in a country of free speech and free debate.
Real quickly, I'd like to squeeze in one last question. With the way things stand in the House and Senate, do you see another contentious 4 years, or is there a chance lawmakers can find a way to work together for the good of the nation in about 20 seconds?
I think it's going to be a very contentious 4 years. And I think if Biden does ultimately become president, I think there's going to be a lot of battles with him in a Senate and House that may see more Republican gains. And I think you're going to have a lot of the pen and phone presidency.
All right, Jarrett Stepman, we are out of time. Thank you so much. Jarrett Stepman with the Heritage Foundation.